if you slow down, rest, stop being productive, stop producing, stop measuring your value on your output in life, that you're somehow falling behind, that if you don't keep up, things will fall apart. And even when you know you need a break, your body is literally screaming at you with fatigue or anxiety or just, overwhelm, feeling a lot of resistance, feeling like you're in that anhedonia space, which is just the lack of joy. And just kind of like that melancholy. That is communication for you from your body that you need to do something different. And even when you know that, your body still struggles to relax and you still just keep pushing. So if that sounds familiar, this episode's for you, because we're going to talk about why rest feels unsafe for so many women and what's actually happening inside your nervous system when you try to slow down. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the Damron Show. I am so excited that it is November. I love the fall. Which October's fall too, but I love the turtlenecks and the sweatshirts and the leggings, the hot drinks all day. I'm really feeling good about it. With that being said, I also know that this time of the year, and I've started to feel it too, is really busy, right? With all the things that have to be done. November, I have my husband's birthday and my little boy's birthday. And so that kind of starts the month off. And then, we go from Halloween to that, to Thanksgiving, and then the holidays, the Christmas and all of that. And so, I was sitting here a couple days ago and the car needed to be serviced and there was an issue with that. I'm going out of town for a basketball tournament this weekend and, going to drive 6.5 hours with my son, so I needed to prepare for that. My other son's birthday is the day we get home, or the next day. And so started to be oh my God, there's a lot going on. And I talked about this on stories, and this is going to go into our message today. But if you're feeling overwhelmed, just remember that overwhelm is okay. The more that we get really comfortable in accepting this idea of radical acceptance in what we're actually experiencing now, it does not have to mean we like it. It does not have to mean we don't want it to change. But if we can find some safety in the fact of yep, I am feeling a little bit overwhelmed. I am feeling stressed. I am feeling anxious. I am feeling emotional. We talked about last week how the holidays can be just a really nuanced time for people with a lot of nostalgia, bittersweet, bitterness, anger, grief, sadness, happiness, joy, peace, contentment, excitement. Is a mixed bag for a lot of people. And so I always say, first off, let's practice radical acceptance of where we are. So when I felt that the other day, I was okay, deep breath, slow down, and, instead of having a million tabs of oh my God, because when you get going, right? So you're okay, I got to get the drinks and the food for Halloween, and then, then I got to do the birthday, and then pretty soon you're okay, when am I going to put the tree up and the decorations, and I got to get all these gifts, and I got to figure out the holiday stuff. We're way far in advance, and we've bought into all of the sort of the fight or flight, the anxieties, questions, and commands and demands and all the things. And so really the first step for me now when I do this is to really and truly stop what I'm doing, slow down, and metaphorically turn off the tabs in the brain. So the Christmas tree, I'm not sure when that's going up this year. I'm not sure what that day is going to look like, and that's okay. I don't need to figure that out today. That is another day's problem. And that's been a lot of growth for me because I am not a person that likes to kick the can down the road. But I think also slowing down. So when we have everything else in life going on still, and then we add the holiday season to it and whatever else that looks like for you, the sort of second nature is to just speed things up and keep going and driving fast and eating fast and walking fast and thinking fast and being chaotic. But really, if we can just slow everything down, that helps a ton give the message of safety. So today we're going to talk about something that I know so many of you feel deep in your bones, and that is the guilt of doing less. I was actually talking to a patient earlier today who's pregnant, and her baby is a big baby, likes to grow, and she has like SPD pain and joint pain and muscle pain and round ligament pain, and she has other children at home from, toddlers to elementary age kids, and she's like, I'm just laying on the couch doing nothing and I feel really bad. This is kind of a conversation around that because it made me realize that, but I think so many of us in different, and even not pregnant, feel really guilty for doing less. And so I think, this is that sense that if you slow down, rest, stop being productive, stop producing, stop measuring your value on your output in life, that you're somehow falling behind, that if you don't keep up, things will fall apart. And even when you know you need a break, your body is literally screaming at you with fatigue or anxiety or just, overwhelm, feeling a lot of resistance, feeling like you're in that anhedonia space, which is just the lack of joy. And just kind of like that melancholy. That is communication for you from your body that you need to do something different. And even when you know that, your body still struggles to relax and you still just keep pushing. So if that sounds familiar, this episode's for you, because we're going to talk about why rest feels unsafe for so many women and what's actually happening inside your nervous system when you try to slow down. I think it's really wonderful for everyone on social media to be like, slow down, stop, you just need to have more rest. But when you're in this and your brain is in fight or flight and going, at the pace that most of ours is, rest feels incredibly unsafe. And your brain, when it feels unsafe, is going to scream at you to find safety. And for a lot of women, safety in this metaphor is doing and producing and going and not sitting down and cleaning the house and wrapping gifts and doing all the things. So I think, let's just name it here. Rest sounds really nice. I think a lot of us fantasize about it. And honestly, the deeper you are into kind of this state of fight or flight, fawn or freeze, the more fantasy you probably have around like, oh my God, what would it be like if I could just sit down or rest and someone would actually give me that permission. And so, it doesn't feel good for a lot of us because it doesn't feel safe. I think a lot of us, finally maybe get a moment to ourselves, and instead of peace, we feel restless. Your mind might race. You're going over to-do lists and things that need to be done. And even, we talked about this before, but people can become addicted to fight or flight. And I have been here. I struggle with this sometimes, and I have so many patients who are in the same boat. So when you are addicted to fear or fight or flight, basically your brain has gotten the memo that the world around you, your external or internal environment, feels so scary that it feels only safe when it's in this fight or flight response, because fight or flight is protective for us. That's how we are protected. It's how we save our life. We run, fight, flee, freeze, fawn, say the right thing. And so if the world around you feels that terrifying to your brain, then the thought of not being in fight or flight is like, well, if we're not in fight or flight and this thing around us is so terrifying, we're going to die. We're not going to be able to save our own life here. And so you think of everything you should, air quote, be doing. It's not that you don't want to rest. It's not a personality flaw. It's literally that your nervous system doesn't know how and is addicted to this fight or flight. And it's not a personality flaw. It's nothing that you've actually done. It's just conditioning, and it's literally how your brain works. Many of us were raised to believe that our worth comes from being productive, helpful, efficient, responsible. We learned early on that if we perform, achieve, hold everything together, keep everyone emotionally stable, we'll be loved, we'll be safe, we'll be respected, we'll get that accolade that we really are yearning for. And again, these things happen when we're 0 to 7 years old. Obviously we have different experiences throughout our whole life that shapes us, but a lot of this conditioning happens when we are young children. And so, your brain learns what this world's about and just continues these patterns for 3, 4, 5, 6 decades. And so when you stop doing, you stop achieving, you stop producing. When you rest, it unconsciously feels like you're losing control, you're unsafe. And like I said, that you've sort of dropped the sword. in this fight of life, and that feels terrifying to your brain. So that's why you're sitting there trying to watch a movie and you're really restless, thinking of 100 things, grabbing your phone for more games and dopamine where we need the 2 screens. This is all that's happening. It's not a habit necessarily. It's literally how our brain is wired. So let's connect this to the nervous system for just a minute. When you're constantly in this fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response, which is our 4 trauma responses, our brain associates action and movement with safety. And when you're moving, fixing, helping, planning, analyzing, overthinking, you're surviving, right? You're like throwing all these balls in the air, nothing's getting down, you're not dropping the ball literally on anything, and so everything feels really safe. But when you slow down, the protective nervous system doesn't just turn off and be like, oh, she's good now, everything's fine. Your body is still scanning for this danger, and the perception is that there's a lot of danger outside of you. And so even if this danger is like not disappointing somebody or not meeting an expectation or dirty dishes in the sink or clutter around you or, work stress or whatever, those are perceptions of danger. And so when you have that stuff like kind of hanging over you, you're not going to be able to like rest calmly and nicely. Your mind's going to keep going, and then you feel edgy, anxious, guilty, restless. Your pin is tapping, you are tapping your feet, you're moving all over. That's just a sign that your survival brain is saying like, I'm not doing something. Am I safe? Am I still good enough? This is not okay. I gotta earn my love. I gotta keep producing, all of that. And so this is really where the conflict begins. Your body is craving rest, but your brain perceives it as unsafe. So here's what kind of happens over time. You push yourself because it feels safer to be productive than still. You overcommit, you overschedule, you say yes when you mean no, you try to like earn peace by finishing your list, you have performative friends, the list never ends. But eventually you crash, right? You get exhausted, irritable, and honestly, like maybe even physically unwell. We talk all about neuroplastic symptoms, and for a lot of our brains, like getting that migraine attack is safer, and it puts you into bed for a few days or a few hours. You turn the lights off, you're resting. That feels a lot safer than being out in the dangerous environment. If stomach aches, if you have a bad enough stomach ache, you stay home. You are forced to rest. You get a virus. A lot of times we get viruses when our immune system is just really suppressed, and our immune and digestion suppresses when we are in too much stress. And so the goal, as a caveat or side note, isn't to like throw all the things at your immune system and figure it out and do gut health protocols and all of that. It's actually to reduce your stress, your perception of danger, and that turns on the immune system and digestion just as it's meant to be. And so that's kind of this like productivity worthiness loop or love loop, and it keeps your nervous system chronically dysregulated. Your body cannot heal or balance hormones or, again, have a great immune system and neurotransmitters and digestion and blood circulation and detoxification and inflammation, all of these things, when your nervous system is in this loop because it's always in output mode, using energy faster than it can basically restore it. I think women are particularly vulnerable to this pattern for a few reasons. I think there's cultural conditioning. We're taught to be caregivers, achievers, to nurture everyone else while kind of excelling now in our careers, motherhood, health, wellness, looking really put together, having the Pinterest-worthy home and birthday parties and holidays and all the things. And it's too much. It is too much. I think hormonal vulnerability, cortisol, estrogen, progesterone are deeply tied to the stress response. And so when cortisol, your stress hormone, is chronically elevated, it's going to deplete progesterone, leading to anxiety, poor sleep, heavy periods, the worsening perimenopausal symptoms, irregular cycles, breast tenderness, anxiety. I think I said that. All kinds of these symptoms that you guys all come to me for all the time. And again, I'm not immune to any of this either. I also think we talk about, there's this new sort of talk about the mental load or invisible labor that women carry, kind of the emotional and logistical load of family life, the mental checklist that never stops running, even when you're off, right? Your brain is still kind of on. And I think I don't know a woman who can't really relate to that. So really, rest is not an act of self-care. And I'm going to butcher this, but I saw this social media post the other day that was talking about self-care and how it's really just kind of packaged in like this almost like elitist, like, I don't know, like wellness, kind of like diet culture type of thing now, where like you have to do all of these things and they're expensive and time consuming. And let's face it, like right now in the US, people are like struggling to put food on the table. People are struggling to, do all the things that we need to do in this world. And I think people are struggling. I know Kylie and I have talked about that about 2 weeks ago, and I saw Brene Brown talking about this recently, but, I think Instagram with the highlight reel can just keep churning, and we can, make ourselves look happy with the new holiday outfit and the new craft for Christmas and the new recipes and things like that. But deep down, I think people are really struggling. I think we're still working through trauma associated with the pandemic and all the aftermath of that. And I think, just in every facet of life, from parenting to relationships to health and self-care to this rat race that we're all in to continue to earn money because inflation and geopolitically things feel really uncertain, and it's just a lot of danger. And so when we talk about danger symptoms, we talk about being in fight or flight. I think that our modern world and the way that we live contributes to that a ton. And I don't say that as like something that makes you feel negative necessarily or like doomed, but just in a way of like, I do think we're at a crossroads where we need to turn around. We need to kind of look around and be like, is this the life that we want to live? Is this serving us? Do we feel good? Do we feel happy? And not all day, every day, but like a genuine fulfillment in life. I'm reading this book right now called High Functioning, and it's about like high functioning depression. And it is not in like a depressed, what you think type of way, where like you're laying in bed and have no joy and can't do things. It is like you are functioning really well, but there is not a lot of joy, happiness, fulfillment happening. And I argue that in my own patient demographic, I think probably a lot of women fit the bill for this. And so, I just think that there's a very multifactorial approach to this. It's not just doing supplements or medications or functional medicine testing. I think we like literally need to look at how we're living. And I think this episode is part of that, where we need to start teaching your brain that you can rest. It is safe to slow down. And I think, when we are in fight or flight all the time and have a lot of anxiety and a lot of functioning from this amygdala part of our brain, which is like the primal fight or flight response, and not a lot of functioning from the prefrontal cortex, which is logical thinking, emotional regulation, joy, happiness, memory and word recall, creativity. I think that the fight or flight response will yell and scream at you and basically make a bunch of demands and commands and questions for you. And so it occupies your entire day. So if you're sitting on the couch and you're like, okay, I'm going to rest, I'm feeling it in my body, it's time to slow down, and your nervous system is like, alarm, alarm, alarm all the time, you're gonna get up because it feels like, well, this feels really wrong to be sitting here. And so I'm gonna just get up because I feel lazy, I feel unproductive. What we want to do is we want to start teaching your body that rest doesn't mean danger. It actually means safety. And at first, we're going to get into this, it's going to feel uncomfortable. Anything that you're not familiar with, that your brain doesn't do on a regular basis, is going to feel clunky and like uncomfortable, like learning how to read or ride a bike or math in school or a foreign language or a new job. We've used these pathways a million times in our life to get to where we are today from learning different things. And every time that we start learning something different, it feels uncomfortable. We're like, ooh, this is really difficult. I don't really know if I like this. This feels like not familiar. And the same thing is going to go with changing our neural pathways to accept rest as safety versus rest as guilt. And so I think that we have to kind of redefine first what air quote rest might mean. Rest doesn't have to be doing nothing. I think there is definitely a time and a place for stillness and absolutely doing nothing. It's amazing for us, but it can be like restful movement. It can be sitting in the sun or journaling or walking really slowly, not because you got to check the box of getting your steps and you got to put your weighted vest on, but like looking at the leaves right now, crunching underneath them, listening to the birds, feeling the sun hit your face. Like that stuff is really soothing to your nervous system if you can do it in a really present way. I think that the second thing, and this is going to be the hard one for people, is to notice the guilt without obeying it. So just because something feels uncomfortable in our body does not mean it's wrong. The guilt isn't truth, it's a thought. It's familiar. It's the way you've done things forever. And so it feels like, uncomfortable, but it's just conditioning. It's not wrong. It just means this is the message that you got when you were a child, that you need to keep producing and overachieving and being perfect and doing all the things. And so to not do that feels incredibly unsafe to your brain. And so what we want to do is when you're doing this, you're actually having to expose yourself to rest and slowness and stillness. Your brain's going to be going off a million miles an hour. Get up, don't do this, be guilty. You want to take a small breath, slow everything down, realize, oh, interesting, these are some thoughts that I'm having. This is an old way of thinking. This is an old operating system. We're upgrading it right now. And you want to sit there anyway. Your anxiety is going to be a little bit higher. Your fight or flight response might get higher. That's okay. Let that be there because you're teaching your brain to recalibrate. I think that you can, this isn't an all or nothing thing and there's a million strategies for this, but maybe you start with like allowing yourself before bed to take a break, to do something that feels nourishing to your body, a skincare routine, a shower, watching trashy TV, journaling, stretching, cuddling, petting a dog, or a cat, like doing something, anything that you want to without just aimlessly scrolling. Don't scroll. Scrolling is setting us in the wrong direction. But anything that you can do to get some stillness in your body, that is what we want to do. And like I said, it's going to feel uncomfortable, but we want to sort of like coerce ourselves into slowly doing this. So if you can only do it right now for 10 minutes, fine, do it for 10 minutes. Maybe in a few weeks, you could do it for 15 or 20, and then maybe 30 or 40, and so on. But we really want to start kind of conditioning your body to do this regularly. And then speak to yourself with compassion. So if you feel like you can only rest when you've earned it, remind yourself, I don't have to prove my worth through exhaustion. Worthiness is innate, not achieved through doing more. You are worthy as you are. You don't need to change. You don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to do what the influencers say to be okay. You don't need to read self-help books. You are okay right now. Your brain just needs to learn that. It doesn't know that yet. When you allow true rest, your hormones start to balance, your mood evens out, your digestion, your creativity, your zest for life, your sleep, all the things that you're coming to me for start to get better when your nervous system feels safe. You feel present. You feel excited. You feel content. You get these things because you're no longer running on adrenaline. And you don't lose everything that you're doing. You can still be successful. You can still be productive. You can still do what you need to do in the day. But your nervous system shifts from like protection of you to more connection in life. From surviving to a place where it feels safe. And that is where you start to heal physically, mentally, emotionally, generationally. You don't want your kids to carry this stuff forward. I know you don't. So many moms come to me and they're like, oh my God, I don't want my kids to watch this. If you don't want your kids to watch this, I get it. I'm not immune to any of this either, and I have to make myself do this. But if you don't want your kids to carry this forward, especially if you have daughters, then you have to show them how not to do it. If you don't like, this was actually in the Relaxed Woman book that I read, but if you don't like the way society is right now, then don't be a part of it. if you don't like the fact that women have to run themselves ragged to keep up with the expectations and all the stress and pressure that women have, then decide to opt out of it in any way that you can. Don't continue to feed the beast, right? Because that's how then the next generation learns. So it doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. You don't have to completely burn your life up. Although I've seen so many memes on Facebook or the internet or whatever, with so many people saying like millennials want to like burn it all down. And I, to be honest, like have resonated with that so much. There's like something deep inside of me that really wants to like, I'm never going to do this. I'm not fit for this, but, like homestead, like burn it all down, get a dumb phone, go on the land and just like bask in my peace. But I'm not doing that. That's not reasonable. It's not feasible. So we have to learn how to live in this life. But if you have felt like, oh my God, I just want to like burn it all down, you're not alone. Lots of women tell me that every day. Lots of my friends tell me that. I have experienced it too. But that is a massive communication that you do need to look at your life and figure out like what's serving you, what's not, what do you want to say yes to, what do you want to say no to, what path are you headed down, where do you want to spend most of your attention, what are your priorities, values. We do need to work on that stuff because if you're feeling like, oh my God, I want to run away, something is not quite right in your life. So I feel that. If this episode resonated with you and you wanted to learn how to truly calm your nervous system so that you can feel all the things that we talked about today, I have a course called Calm the Chaos, which is how to get rid of anxiety. You can get that at LIABLE.com/anxiety. Or you can go to schedule a consult with me, our free discovery call, where we do functional medicine stuff and we talk about all of these things, hormones, digestion, mood, values in your life, thought management, mindset, supplements, nutrition. We go through it all. So if you want to do that with me, you can schedule it at Damron.com/consults. If you have friends and family who you think resonate with this, who you're thinking like of a woman that's running herself ragged, please share this episode with them. Again, I can't change the world, you can't change the world, but we can start to have these conversations with other women so that we can all maybe collectively give ourselves permission to stop. Nothing has to be perfect, especially in the midst of this holiday season. Like, if your decorations aren't perfect this year, it's okay. The holiday meal's not exactly how it's supposed to be in your mind, that's okay. The kids' gifts aren't perfect, whatever that looks like for you, that's okay too. I think we all need permission to stop, air quote, keeping up with the Jones, right? And just all be like, you know what, you're doing a great job as is. Like, let's lessen the pressure, the expectation, the societal expectations with things. And I think one woman to one woman will help start to change that for everyone. So anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and I'll be back next week.